folks. Welcome back to the Field and Garden Podcast. It's Lisa Mason Zigler of the Gardener's Workshop, and I am so glad that you're here to join me. And friends, today I have put together two of the conversations that I have had with some pretty amazing flower entrepreneurs. You know, as I am interviewing so many of the students of our courses, people that have started or are growing their businesses and expanding, I am just so excited and empowered and inspired by these people. I am learning things that, you know how you have your own way of looking at stuff? Well, when you talk to other people that are kind of doing some of the things that you are, but they come at it from a whole different direction, it is so eye-opening. And so is the case of the two folks that we're going to listen to the replays of. I interviewed two students of Ellen Frost's course, Growing Your Business with Locally Sourced Flowers. And that is a really interesting mix of people. We have people that have become a part of her course that are in all aspects of the business. And so I'm really getting a really interesting shining. But I will tell you what has come through in all of the discussions is that learning what your why is. Why do you do what you're doing? And when you find your why, it leads you to everything else. And it leads you to who your people are. And that's one of the strongest suits that I think that Ellen really has. She leads you to find your why, then to how to find your people and how to connect and build relationships. Not only with farmers, if you're trying to source locally, and how to work with them. And I mean, that whole gamut of wonderful things, but they can be really challenging things if you have no clue how to do it. And I will tell you, as a farmer, we don't have time to educate people. So Ellen does all that. But the rest of the story is she shows you how she has built this amazing community of her people that she serves in many different ways. She's built her whole business on it. She and her husband, Ellen's husband, Eric, this is their livelihood. This is what they do. And they do it really well, and they do it with a life beyond. And that's what Ellen helps you to find. And so first, out of the gate, I want you to listen in on an interview that I did with Amy of Drive By Flowers. She is located in Northern Virginia, and she is, I really enjoyed talking to her because she has been very sensible. She has this love of doing this, but she's the mother of a young family. She has a husband that has a business. So they do have a little bit of flexibility of working at their businesses, right, of helping each other out. And Amy is actually a designer, and she does grow some. She has just started growing more. She is a designer, but yet she's not really doing what some people are, how they dive in and start doing lots of weddings. Amy is doing a really, what I consider a super unique niche, and that is she is serving her community by doing those day-to-day deliveries. And we hear from people all the time, well, what if my aunt died and I would really love for them to have your flowers or local flowers, not the flowers that, you get at a conventional flower shop. And that's what Amy is doing. She is doing those. You have to check out her website. I'll put the links to all this in the show notes. Her website, drivebyflowers.com. She has e-commerce on there where you can purchase arrangements or wrapped flowers, and she does delivery there in her community. So let's just take a step back and let's listen to my conversation with Amy of Drive By Flowers. Hey, friends, it's Lisa Zigler dropping in again because we are going to have an amazing discussion again tonight. I am going to be talking to Amy of Drive By Flowers, and I just cannot wait to learn more about her and her business. So, Amy, if you just touch the little video camera, there it is. She knows she's a pro at this. Nope, that's not her. So, Amy, there it is. I'm going to send you an invite. So, I'm just loving Hey, Amy.
Hey, Lisa, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, just fine.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining me here tonight.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk to you. You know, I don't know if you caught my discussion. I guess it was a couple of nights ago with Becca, who is another florist event person that is sourcing locally. And I'm just really so excited and invigorated after talking. And I know your conversation is going to be the same. I kind of stalked you a little bit today, and it's pretty impressive what you've done. So thank you so much. And tell me how you say your last name. Is it Cordy?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. So everybody, for anyone that I haven't met before, my name is Lisa Mason Zigler, and I am with the Gardener's Workshop. And we are just carrying a big old banner about getting the word out about local flowers and just about community and about why all the wonderful reasons we should be doing it like our grandparents did decades ago. And I've been talking to people that are actually doing it. You know, it's really interesting to research something and think, oh, maybe I could do that. But to hear from people that are doing it is just really, really awesome. So, Amy, I would ask you first, introduce yourself, tell us where you are, and just tell us kind of how you came to be doing this and what it is you're doing.
Yeah. So I'm Amy Cordy. I am the owner of Drive By Flowers. So we are about like an hour or so outside DC, and I would say we're probably what people would consider, city folk would consider the rural beginnings of the rural part, just outside Northern Virginia. So not that far though from DC. Um, so I actually have a background in clinical counseling. I completed my master's in counseling, and I did that. But when when I got married, I actually sourced local flowers from a like pick your own farm in Loudoun County. And I didn't know anything about flowers. I didn't know what a dahlia was. I didn't know that I even had them in my bouquet. But I loved it was just like the most peaceful, enjoyable thing ever. And I did my own wedding flowers, but then that was 9 years ago. And so I remember talking to a designer who I now freelance for probably 3 years ago. And she told me what she did. And I said, man, if I could do anything, I would do your job. Like if money was I would do your job. And she said, you should
Right.
go do that. You should go do that. So, yeah, so really probably I incorporated in 2020. So again, just like Becca, smack dab in the middle of a pandemic. What better time to do that? So I really kind of jumped in, but I'd done friends' weddings and things like that, using mostly local flowers over the last 3 or 4 years.
So are you growing it all, or are you strictly a designer? So are you a farmer florist or a florist, or what do you classify yourself as?
I don't even know, Ellen. Yes, I do grow. I started growing. So about 3 years ago, I had kind of a moment where and a lot of us have these moments. My grandfather, who I was really close with, passed away pretty suddenly, and he was a grower. He grew vegetables, but he actually went to school to study horticulture. And he dropped out to become a long haul truck driver when his wife, my grandmother, got pregnant. He never really realized that dream, but he grew roses. And so after he passed away, I went to our nearest nursery and I just bought a bunch of roses, which I still haven't figured out. Roses I haven't figured out. But I started growing that season, and really I bought your book, Cool Flowers, and dove into that in the December, January timeframe, and kind of kept going with it. So I do grow. I have an acre. I really just sort of set out to grow what I wanted to design with. So a
Right.
lot of the colors, a lot of the shapes, rather than specific varieties, your line flowers and your mass flowers and flutter flowers and things like that. So I do grow, but I really, it's a very small portion of what I end up using.
Sure. And so, who is your main market? Do you do a lot of events, or are you doing day-to-day stuff, or are you doing all of the above?
It's a lot more daily deliveries right now, which I really enjoy. So special occasions and things like that. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to get into weddings. I did. I have an a la carte menu on my website, and I thought, I have three little ones, so that'll do me. That'll be great. I have
Yeah.
taken on some full service weddings, so I have one this weekend. So I think I'm really going to enjoy that too. But right now, still focused on really the people of my county and my town doing the daily deliveries.
Sure. And I think that it's just such a smart business decision to recognize the fact that you have three little ones really screams that you don't have time to be doing a lot of weddings, and to find another way. And I want to talk about your website and all of that. How would you say business is going in general for you since you've started kind of officially, kicked it out and going for it?
I think it's something that I have to temper myself. I have to be real ruthless with my time and how much I do devote to it. But it's there. I think in our town, in our community, there's a need for it, and I see the style, and people really like the style. So there are really two other brick and mortar florists, and I have a home studio for right now. The big goal would be to move into a retail space. That'd be awesome. And one just retired recently. And so there's a space, I think, in the market for both sort of
Sure.
a loose, airy design style garden gathered, and then for really the local flowers. We are really fortunate in this area to have a lot of growers, I think. So it's going well. Certainly a profitable first year, which is really exciting for me. The
Yes.
first year you really wonder, am I going to take a loss? And it's like, okay, year one, we made a profit. That's good.
Sure. And so, what I want to talk about, because I went to your website and I have to tell you, so one of your descriptions, it might actually be on your homepage, that you were describing your designs, and you talked about, or you had verbiage that basically said you wanted the flowers to look like somebody had just walked around a garden and selected them and grabbed them up. That when I got married 26 years ago, I went to four, and I was not a gardener then, even. I mean, I had a shade garden. I wasn't into flowers at all. But I knew that's exactly what I said to four different florists. I said, I want but we had a small family wedding in my mother's living room. I said, I want a bouquet of flowers that it looks like I just went out and cut them and put them together and wrapped a piece of ribbon around them. And they all looked at me like I had four eyes or something. And the last one got it. But when I read your website today, it's like, that's the perfect description. I mean, I think that's kind of a really important part of all of the whole local is, making flowers. We don't need to make them beautiful. They're already beautiful, right? But what I wanted to say was, when I was on your website, first off, your website is beautiful. It looks very well done. Did you do that yourself, or did you hire it out? Or tell us about that process, because there's a lot of people asking me about this.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love so the short answer is we did do it in-house, but the big asterisk there with social media and with my website is that I have a husband who is very supportive and also works in this industry. So in
Okay.
that into social media. So I really lucked out in that sense.
Yeah.
I still would love to just because of the cost on his time. I really would still love to tweak a bunch of things and hire that out. That's not
It
going to
never ends. I'm 24 years in, and we are having our website rebuilt again as we speak. We
happen.
just had it done 2 years ago. I mean, it is a constant changing and moving. So, but the reason I asked is because because you do e-commerce, which is a piece of a website people don't understand, that changes everything. I mean, when you start taking people's credit card numbers, you have to, cover all those bases. And as I'm starting to teach, today was the first day of school for my basic class. I'm already getting questions about websites, and
Yeah.
I was just curious. So you are very fortunate to have your man that, I'm married to a plumber, so there's benefits there. But
Just not
social
website
media and
one.
IT support is pretty dadgum amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. So what led you to Ellen's course? So I didn't even say that yet, that Amy was a student of Ellen Frost, who is our superstar local sourcer designer who only uses locally sourced flowers in Baltimore. And she has an online course called Florist School Online, but it's not really just for florists, growing your business with local flower sourcing. And I'll tell you in a minute about how you can learn more. But Amy, how did you come to take Ellen's course, and which class were you? This is her third class this year. Were you the first or the second?
I think it was the first. Well, no, it might have been the second. It was January.
That was the first.
Yeah,
That was the
it was.
first one.
Yes. Yeah, so I heard about it through you because I started following you from really growing and learning the process of growing. Then followed I'm on your email list and those sorts of things. I had heard of her because from the outset, from the time that I started Drive By Flowers, I knew I wanted to source locally, 100% if possible. And so I started kind of paying attention. Instagram is I think it's the great connector, really.
Yeah.
It's how I found a lot of the growers that I work with regularly, and so connecting with her on social media, really then kind of saw both of you sharing it and thought of all the things that I need to invest in my education about, this would be at the top of the list. So yeah, so that was the first class then.
So, I feel like one of the things that, each student I speak to that's one of Ellen's students, I learned something new about the class, that people look at things in a very different way. And so tell us, what do you feel like helped you the most out of the class? What were you looking to learn about, and was that fulfilled?
Yeah, gosh, there were so many things, Lisa. It was such a great class. It is. I still look back at the notes pretty regularly because, and I think you may have said this with in your chat with Becca. It's just depending on where you are in your business, things become relevant over time. So I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing right now that I keep referring back to is, so she really does a great job of breaking down the nuts and bolts of connecting with local farmers and what that looks like, down to how they order, their availability lists, do's and
Right.
don'ts that were really practically helpful. But I also think the larger picture of how, and I've talked to her on the phone even just a couple weeks ago. She's so great about that. She's like, hey, I'll call you. 7 a.m. Okay. And I'm like, yes, that's thank you. You know?
She's she is an amazing teacher. I mean, she loves to help other people and empower them. And what she has to teach is the stuff.
Yes, yes. So she really, so the business side of developing the value proposition to your clients was huge in that course. And so, even now I'm going back and thinking through, well, what is local to me? Is that, and how can I be transparent about, am I able to source 100% locally? What are my sort of concentric circles? And putting thought into local, and then we moved to Virginia and then Maryland or Southern Virginia, or sort of beyond that to states outside of that, to American grown, and to imports if I must, which with daily deliveries that's never been a need. So just thinking through all of that, her sort of process in the course of helping you to determine that and then really figure out who your flower people are is all really helpful. I could go on and on. I really could.
I mean, I do think that I never really I never really pursued that point of who is my customer. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, well, it was fortunate for me because I had customers. I didn't have to really pursue that. But I think in this landscape and day where people are so used to global everything, I mean, you order it and it's on your porch tomorrow. We really have to say, excuse me, this is what's different. This is what you're missing. And one of the things I really came away from Becca's talk is, I feel like brides really are looking for theirs to be more special than anybody else's, their event, their weddings, their whatever. their flowers that they sent, to Aunt Judy or whoever. How much more special is a community produced product that's sustaining people? I mean, it's just getting deeper and deeper for me. I posted today on Instagram that it's like when you stand on the top of this flower pile now and look how we've reached all over the world, which I know is very exciting perhaps for some people, but when you think about the logistics of it, it gets less and less warm and fuzzy and romantic. Each layer of plastic or product sprayed on the flowers or boxes or sitting in 747s, whatever you want to think about. And I also love, so tell me about what is your work week like? So you have little ones, so you're obviously concerned about everything. I love that you talked about that you didn't want to use anything that had products on it. And of course it's unknown when we are dealing with imports, because they aren't regulated like we are necessarily. So tell me about your days. How does that go for you with your business?
Oh, Lisa. Well, I teach them at home, and so that does allow us the flexibility, a little bit more flexibility. This is our first year, so the verdict is still out on that. But so far so good. So there's 7, 5, and then 2, and
Woo!
yeah, in the trenches. It's so great though. It really is. So really the morning is sort of devoted to that, and it's the afternoons that I really get to work on it. It gets a little crazy today. I have a wedding this weekend. I think I'm going to probably end up sourcing from 6 or 7 different farms, and they to include a co-op, which I'm a founding member of here in Northern Virginia, and that is sort of working to reduce that 7 farm travel with the
Right,
kids in the back
right.
farm. But they go with me if I have a daily delivery, if I can work it out, because my husband we own a small business that he and our team do, which is in the social media realm. He'll come home for lunch and I'll scoot out and make my daily deliveries depending on the
Right.
day. Every week is different. Afternoons are really where I try to, protect that time, and I do have some help that does help as well. So yeah, I haven't quite gotten it down to let's order one day a week, let's pick up all the flowers the next day, let's deliver the next day. It doesn't happen that way, hardly
It
ever.
never will. Don't even set your goal there.
Yeah.
I mean, even with structure, which I'm like very structured, I mean, every single day I'm saying, well, next week that won't happen.
Yeah. Yes,
And
for
it
sure.
does. It really, really does. And so I want to say that you filled out your student success form for Ellen's course. And I just want to read what you wrote because you were so I mean, what you wrote is really what our goal, what our hope, what our dream is that students would take away from our courses. And so what we asked Amy, we asked all the students that fill it out, how would you describe the course to someone? And you wrote, and I cut it a little short, informative, thorough, practical, and helpful, taught by a true subject matter expert. I mean, you just don't get better than that, right?
Yeah, she really is the subject matter expert. And it is so thorough and practical. Because the practical, I think you're sort of, when you endeavor towards sourcing locally, whether that's, just whatever you can manage, it does feel like you're kind of just feeling around in the dark and you don't really know what the standards are or what an availability list can look like or how to move through those relationships with growers because everyone is so different. So it's really helpful.
And, I mean, that's got to be scary. And I really think, I think I don't want to say, I don't even want to use the word easier, but it is easier for new people coming into the industry, I think, than for people that are used to doing it a certain way for year after year to kind of figure it out. I forget who I was talking to about it, but it's like how many conventional florists or event designers do you think have stuck their toe into this local sourcing pool without any support, without any guidance, had a horrible experience, and said, oh my gosh, who could do this?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine finding your way? without, I
Yeah,
mean, really.
yeah.
Um, so how do you think, I know that you've already shared that you have a lot to, that there's a lot of things she helped you with. So if somebody's on the fence and thinking about, should I take Ellen's course? How would it help me, whether I'm a newbie or maybe it's somebody that's, been doing it for several years? What would you say to them?
Well, I think that I would say, first I would say it's the best investment in terms of figuring out if you're even considering sourcing locally. It's a I would say it's almost a must for sure. That it cuts out so much of what you'd be stumbling around trying to figure out on your own. I think the other thing I would say is I don't know if you've heard there's a little bit of a supply chain
Oh my God.
challenge lately. So I think I'm seeing a lot, at least in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I'm seeing so much of the turning to local because your supply chain is so close to home, and there are a lot of the challenges are alleviated that we're all feeling right now, from vases to flowers. The flower piece, at least, is our growers come through for us in tremendous ways. And I think that that alone is causing a lot of designers to sort of look, okay, I need to figure out an alternative plan.
Right.
And so I think that's a huge motivation too for moving toward that.
That's one thing that we have talked about, that we feel like in this, I had a roundtable discussion with other people, growers and people in all the different parts of the industry. And we feel like this is the window of time that we have been waiting for decades, to be able to really shine, to really strut our stuff and show that we can do this, we can deliver a great quality product. Would you say that local flowers are as good a quality, better, less, or exceed what you would get from a wholesale? Did you ever order from a wholesaler?
I started outsourcing locally, and the first time that I had to use a wholesaler was for a wedding recently for roses. So if anybody in the Northern Virginia area wants to grow lots of roses, you will have a market for it for sure. And there are a few that are. They're just in small quantities. Yeah, I think and I think Ellen even talked about this in the course. The quality is there can be a huge difference in quality,
Yeah.
but also, so in stem loss and you factoring in, budgeting in whatever percentage you have to for stem loss, there's generally less of that. They're in better shape. Because they come in buckets wrapped in rubber bands. They're not in the plastic packaging or the cardboard. Um, I was going to say something else. Oh, just the varieties are like I don't think I can imagine wholesaling dahlias. There
Yeah.
are so many different varieties, not just interesting varieties. Like I had a grower, a good friend of mine, they Grateful Gardeners there in Maryland,
Yeah.
and they introduced me to Jewels of Opar, which is like this real shimmery like seed pod. Um, they're beautiful. They're amazing. I don't think I would ever see that at a wholesaler. So quality, yes, but also variety. It just makes your flowers a lot more interesting, and there are things that aren't going to look good even if they are shipped, like dahlias.
Sure. So I want to ask you, so where did your business name come from?
It came from my husband. We were we were driving down the road. Well, so I think it's kind of a play on words. What the first being, I drive by flowers all the time and pull over and cut them with the clippers that are in my center console. And he knows this, so that's the first part. Or I just notice things now that are growing locally. And two, just the idea of, and this is kind of planning for the future, but the idea that I want to make flowers as convenient as possible for
Right.
my customers to get, and that means ease of ordering and ease of being able to get. So ideally, we'll have a retail space at some point, and it will be as convenient and easy to get them their flowers that they
Sure.
need as possible.
That is just so true. That's one of the things that we talk about is as farmers. And we're all busy. We think we're the busiest people in the world, working the hardest, right? But to get farmers to understand that designers and florists and even the retail customer is just as busy as we are, just in
Mm-hmm.
different things.
Yeah.
And we have got to make everything super convenient. Anybody that doubts that just stand in a busy supermarket across the building from where the flowers are and watch how many people just grab a bunch and put them in their
Hmm.
cart.
It's
That's
easy.
called convenience.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
it's a real reality. So I had to ask that about your name. So if you're just joining us, I am talking to Amy Cordy of Drive By Flowers. She is a student of Ellen Frost of her online course, Growing Your Business with Locally Sourced Flowers. And Amy, I just thank you so much for all your wisdom of sharing just I mean, nothing's better for people to hear is someone else's experience
Yeah.
um, with, whatever it is that you have, an online course or a product or a flower, right?
Yeah.
So tell people, I've already had somebody on Facebook here wanted to know where your website was. They want to go look at it. Tell us how people can connect with you.
Yeah, so my website is drivebyflowers.com, spelled exactly the way you think it would be, no hyphenations or anything. And then on Instagram, I'm at drivebyflowers, and then Facebook is Drive By Flowers. We're keeping it simple and easy.
Sure, sure. So, are there any parting words that you would like to say to anybody that might be on the fence, not sure if they really want to do this or not? I mean, I'm like you. First off, I feel like it is such a value. Everybody knows if you're in business, this is a business expense. That's the first thing to know. The savings and mistakes, mishap, and time is pretty amazing. But I also feel like the confidence building to be able to figure out that, I mean, Ellen called you, right? Or you called Ellen, one of the
Yeah.
two. It's like the support system that we have is pretty darn amazing.
Hmm.
So let me just say this about the course for anybody, or for all of our courses, actually. What I wanted to remind people of is enrollment only opens once a year. This is a school, meaning it's a 6-week course. The course does not begin until January, but enrollment happens November 5th through the 9th, which is like this Friday, for 5 days. You enroll, and then school start in January. I mean, and the weekly Q&As are pretty priceless, in my opinion. I actually went through a course, outside of our group, and that was perhaps for me. I didn't really ask questions. I was like a silent stalker. But didn't you find that the Q&As just were very insightful and just brought even more depth to the course?
Yeah, because that people are asking questions that everybody else is wondering anyways. And so
Yes.
to be able to have that asked, and the ones that I wasn't able to make, the live sessions or the Facebook, there's a Facebook group, which is super helpful too, that I'm
Hmm.
still part of, that I still watch and see what Ellen's posting and the questions that people ask. I really missed that. If I missed that opportunity to ask questions, it was a real bummer. But a lot of the times the questions they were ones I was wondering anyways that other people asked. So yeah,
Yeah.
that support is huge. I mean, it was over a year after I took the course that I'm talking to Ellen on the phone and she's helping me navigate a situation with a local farmer, and it's amazing. Yeah, I think to kind of answer your question about just if somebody's on the fence, I think there are increasingly a million options for education these days. And that's
Hmm.
really great. We live in like the age of
Yeah.
information. Sometimes it's too much, it's overwhelming. Um, so you really have to be discerning with where you put your dollars and your time. But I think that this is for sure worth the time and the investment of all the different places that you could put your resources toward your
Right.
education. This is at the very top of the list. And I mean, there's a wide range of costs associated with that education, and this is extremely reasonable. I think Becca said it as well. It's just a lot of bang for your buck for sure.
So anybody that's interested in learning more, you can just go to thegardenersworkshop.com. I'm actually the publisher of the course. That's kind of my part in all of this. We host it and um, hold it and take care of it for Ellen. And remember, if anybody is a student of any of our online courses, that means you're a member of our family. And that means that you get a special email with a special price. So keep your eyes out for that, and that'll come out on Friday. Um, but we're just really excited about this year's class. Each year it just gets richer and richer and deeper I mean, the depth of people that are coming into it. I mean, we have so many more florist focused or design focused people, as well as the farmers that are trying to figure out how they meet your needs. What
Yeah,
do they need to do, right? The other side of the fence.
yeah,
So I really appreciate you joining with me here tonight.
yeah. Thanks for
And
having me.
yeah, so you're not far from me. I used to, when I was still traveling, doing lots of lectures, I bet I went to Warrington and Northern Virginia and Middleburg, not Middleburg, but a lot of places around you. There's a ton of garden clubs. Would think you would have an amazing market up there,
Yeah.
for selling lots of beautiful flowers and
Well, and it's helpful with the as I'm reading through your resources for growing. I'm like, she's in almost the same zone-ish. This is perfect.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Amy, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And friends, thanks so much for dropping in and taking a listen. And I just really appreciate you, Amy, and what you're doing. And it's very, very exciting. And I can't wait to see what you do in 2022.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisa. It was such a joy to be on here.
Thank you. Thank you. How about it, y'all? Listening to other people share how they're doing it and what they're doing just can plant so many seeds of what perhaps is something that could become a part of your business. Now, I have another conversation for you, and this one is Sue of Creekside Growers in Michigan, and actually along with her right hand worker Kelly. And, Sue has had a garden center and a greenhouse business for a couple of decades. And then she was really craving, the big difference I often say to people between flower farmers and what most other people in the horticulture world do is other areas of horticulture, whether you're growing bedding plants or trees or perennials or whatever to sell, you're kind of only involved in one part of it. And that's exactly what Sue was craving. She wanted to go from that to being a part of the whole story, like how we start from seed and grow the plant and harvest the flowers and then typically do something with the flowers, right? And so that led Sue in 2016 to start growing some cut flowers. Then she brought Kelly on board, and Kelly, as Sue describes it, Sue is kind of like the business person, grower, organizer, and Kelly is the one they do all kinds of workshop. They also do day-to-day deliveries. They sell to Florist. They do DIYs. And so you can go to their website and see that they are just involved in a lot of different ways with their flowers, trying to get their business up and growing. And I will tell you that Kelly's a little firecracker in marketing. And she was talking about that for the last 68 days, every day she's been making, if I understood her correctly, flower crowns, and she wears them home and wears them out, trying to draw attention, make people smile, bring happiness, spread joy. And these two are like a dynamic duo. So let's take a listen to our clubhouse conversation of myself, and Ellen even chimed in on this conversation. Let's take a listen to Sue and Kelly and what they're doing there at Creekside Growers in Michigan. Hi, Sue. Welcome to Clubhouse.
Hi, how are you?
I am very, very good. So I'm glad you found your way here. It's kind of a very different platform when you've not been around. Jesse, that's one reason I have Jesse here, is to help me with the mechanics of doing all of this. But we're just really excited to hear from you today. And so everybody, so Sue, pronounce your last name for me so I don't kill it.
Okay, yep, it's Dijkstra. Very Dutch, so it's Dijkstra.
Dykstra. Okay. So, friends, we have Sue Dykstra here from Creekside Growers and Flower Farm, and I am just so excited to hear from her. When we line these things up, I then go to work learning more about what these folks are doing. And I'm just learning so much about people. And Sue, I have to tell you, I am just so impressed with all that you're doing. So I'd like for you to kind of introduce yourself, tell people where you are and what it is you're doing there.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So, I am Sue Dykstra, and I am the owner of the greenhouse and the flower farm. And we are in Meadowville, Michigan, which is probably the biggest town near us is Grand Rapids. So we're just about 20 miles south of there. And actually, I'm just going to clarify the person you normally see in all the pictures is actually a gal that works for me, and her name is Kelly, and she's the creative one with the wreaths and the flower crowns. So that's Kelly, and she's actually here today if anyone wants to ask her any questions. But I've owned the greenhouse for 22 years. I worked at another greenhouse 10 years prior to that, and we really started getting into the cut flower industry. Probably I started 5-6 years ago, and we're just really starting to find our way in that right now.
And thank you for saying that because, when I got to your about page on your website, I thought, oh, that's Kelly. That's not Sue. So I apologize if I misrepresented anybody. But yeah, it looks like y'all are just doing such amazing things. So tell us, first off, what led you? So it sounds like you've been in the garden center, greenhouse kind of business for a couple of decades. What led you to start your interest in growing cut flowers and moving towards this local sourcing movement?
Okay, yeah. So my favorite part of the garden center greenhouse is actually the growing. I'm the one that does the ordering and the scheduling and what we're going to grow and all that. So I really enjoyed this start to finish product. And then, with the greenhouse, it goes out the door and then the customer takes it home and I don't really see what happens with it. So I started feeling like in the summer, I really want to do some more growing and see how that, finish out that flower and then, how I could use it. So I started doing that and grew the cut flower side of it. And then I knew I needed some help with the arranging of it and the designing of it. And then that's where I brought Kelly in. She's very creative, as you can see. So basically, that's how it started. And I really moved towards the local side of it after I just did it for a while. And I saw how it was really out of sync with what the industry was doing. And the more we tried to, get into it, it wasn't meshing. It wasn't meshing with people buying things in from wholesale. And we kind of thought, what's going on here? So we really started investigating the local and why it's important, and we're all in on that.
Yeah, I was looking. Your website is really amazing too. So I will just say the website is creeksidegrowers.com, correct?
Yes.
Because people are going to want to go over there and look. And so one of the things that that I see over and over again on your website is your reference to community, which you have mentioned here this morning. And I mean, don't you feel like you're such an experienced business person? Don't you feel like it's just that relationship that builds community is just kind of, it's a natural evolution when we're using local product, right? I mean, you're selling local people stuff to local people and it just kind of snowballs from there, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like some of the ways, because we have a garden center, we also have some space, and we have space that we can utilize through the summer after we've sold most of our, greenhouse products. So that's where we do some of our events and bring the community in and help them to get their hands on the cut flowers and work with the cut flowers. So we've had after school with kids come in, we've had daycares come in, and we let the kids get right out there and cut the flowers, and then they get to take a vase home. We have dinners in the garden to let people see, and we kind of talk about, why it's important. And we kind of always, are pushing the local. And we also have design classes that people come to, and we totally explain the whole industry and why it's so important to support local and to understand all that's involved when you don't buy local. And so many people just respond saying, well, we didn't even know that was an option to, get local flowers.
Right. I mean, I think that you've nailed it is when you're educating people, it's just that people don't know. It's not that they necessarily choose to not go local. They just don't even realize where the flowers come from, like from another country most often. And so that is just really so great. So I'd like to hear more about the services that you guys offer. I see that you do workshops. So do you all do full service weddings or I see that you do DIY and a la carte. So what kind of services do you provide actually using the flowers just for people to get a really good idea of kind of the scope of what your local flower sourcing and growing is, what you do with them?
Yeah, we don't do full service weddings, and that's by choice. We are so busy, doing greenhouse work and all that, that takes so much commitment from us that we don't want to spend the rest of the time, spending all our weekends doing weddings. But we are happy to do, we will do some, bouquets and corsages and boutonnieres. And then, of course, we have the do-it-yourself buckets that we really promote. We also do delivery. We have on our website where you can purchase, and we do seasonal vase bouquets for delivery. We do our design classes, and when we have our dinners, one of the big things is we do where the people can take home a vase of flowers that's called a flower bar, and we have all our flowers set out, and the guests, as they're having their dinner, they get to make a vase and take it home with them. That's included in the dinner. And so there's just so many areas that we do have a U-cut also. And we do try to provide to the florists and event. And we have been able to connect pretty well with event designers. Florists, we're still trying to find that niche. We've worked with some, and we would like that area to grow, but we think that will happen in time.
Lisa, are you having some trouble with your connection?
Nope, I was muted and didn't realize it. Sorry. Thank you,
Okay,
Jess.
that's okay.
So, Sue, tell us about your growing size. Like, what size did you start out growing? Like back when you leaped into cut flowers in 2016, I think it was. What did you start with, and where are you today? And what type of stuff are you growing?
Well, I started with just kind of a small patch back behind the greenhouse, a couple rows of mostly your farmer market flowers. And now we've probably got a good over a half acre outside on two different spots. And then we have another area where we have 500 peonies, and another area where we have shrubs for cut woodies, forsythias and hydrangeas and all that. That's in another spot. And then inside, we are able to use the space that becomes open once we sell all our flowers for the garden center. So we have quite a few different areas, and we have a large space behind the store that's where we hold our dinners and our events. And then the other ones are ones we just personally use to cut flowers. So we do try to grow a little bit more unique and original ones that florists and event designers can't maybe get shipped in, because that's our biggest opposition right now. Is we do have a wholesaler very close in our vicinity, so they can get a lot of the normal things. So we are trying to we do grow your normal dahlias and that kind of thing, but we're also trying like dragonwing begonias and the rose lilies. We have a beautiful crop of heirloom mums right now, so things that don't necessarily ship real well.
Sure. And I can tell you that a burning question in a lot of people's minds right now is, how big of a staff do you have?
Well, to be honest, right now it's me and Kelly, and we do work very hard. Once I have a larger staff when it's garden center season and the garden center is open, but once that, is pretty much done in June, it's pretty much me and Kelly, and we work, very, very hard.
So, Kelly, let's get you to jump into this conversation.
Yeah.
So tell us fill in any blanks that maybe she skipped over, just that about your business, just to give people a really great snapshot of what you girls are doing out there with local flowers.
Yeah. I guess as far as like the community aspect, you bringing that up earlier, that's kind of one of my favorite things in that, and uh, trying to educate not only just our small local community in Middleville by having them come to our greenhouse, but as we try to make connections with these florists who are maybe 20 miles away or whatnot in Grand Rapids, or working out of their homes at different parts around, really trying to instill that kind of like community with them as well, letting them know that we're here for them, not just here for ourselves. We're doing this for more than just ourselves. So the community aspect is again really huge with us. And I guess as far as some of our like design things, honestly, we're still kind of new in all of this, and we haven't really had tons of opportunities to do stuff yet. And so we're still kind of just trying to get our names out in that. I like to design things, just all the time. And I might say, hey, look at going out for this wedding, when in actuality, I just made it to take a picture. But you got to try to get them out there somehow. And part of me sometimes is scared that by us designing things, we're like creating some type of competition with the florists. But so we're trying to find like how we do that. How do we show we're not in competition with you? We actually want you to do the designing, but we like to show what can be designed with our flowers too. So
That's a good point. And you know, I'm really interested in hearing what led you two girls to Ellen's course, growing your business with local flower sourcing, and how it helped you and how it may have had impact on your business.
Sure. Well, I've been in this business for a long time, but I truly believe that we need to keep educating ourselves. Things change, what people want change, flowers change. So I always try to take some classes, and I actually followed Lisa. I followed the gardener's workshop and just kind of was starting to find out who I should be following so we could expand and kind of learn the ropes of cut flowers. And so Lisa was one that I was following, and she posted the classes. And I have taken quite a few of the classes, but Ellen's was one that actually Kelly and I, because it started in January and we're already working in the greenhouse, we kind of listened together. And so we've both taken it in and we both gotten different things from it. But to be honest, it was just an awesome class. We were so glad we found it, and we learned so much, and we are using many of the things that she suggested.
Oh, well, that is so good to hear. And I've just invited Joan up to ask her question. So, Joan, if you accept and come up, just mute yourself until there's a little break that we can get your question. So, Jesse, do you have any questions on the back channel?
No, at the moment, I don't have anybody back there asking questions for Lisa or Sue, but I would invite everyone, in case you joined a little late, you're welcome to send me, if you're not able to come up on stage, you can send me a text message in the back channel here, and that's with the paper airplane icon at the bottom of the screen there. And if you click that and then put my name in, you can send me your question and I can ask on your behalf. So thanks.
Thank you, Jesse. All right. So, Joan, why don't you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, I have status out in my beds, and it looks really nice. And we are going to have cold weather. I'm in Ohio, 6A. And can I transplant that? It's right in my regular warm summer beds, but it looks so good. And it has a bloom jet. Is that a possibility or not?
When did you plant it?
Late July.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you need to transplant it, but I mean, status is a cool flower. So, and we know that it's winter hardy to zone 7. So it's not known to be hardy in your winter hardiness zone, but it would definitely be worthy to try. I would give it a little protection, some hoops and row covers just to break the wind and give it a little bit of extra heat during the day. Um, but I don't know that I would move it this late because you're probably already pretty cool there, aren't you?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
turned real cold.
Yeah.
So,
So I think if you're going to try to save it, then I would definitely do it in um, the bed, leave it where it is. It's established. To uproot it now and move it would probably not work out very well. But thanks for coming up and asking.
thank you. Have a good day.
Hi, Ellen. Thanks for coming.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, I'm out on deliveries and I pulled over on the side of the road and I was like, I'm gonna just hop on here and multitask.
Well, good for you. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's been really interesting to talk to Kelly and Sue about what they're doing out here in Michigan.
Yeah, I loved Kelly. I think you said that you were posting pictures and saying it was going out for a wedding, but really it was just for you to take a picture of. That is like so smart marketing. It's like fake it till you make it marketing, and I do that stuff all the time. So good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a
we
good.
finally got a couple people to order flower crowns after all this.
Great.
So if you haven't seen, I think I'm on day 68 today. I'll be making one later, making them in a row. And so I keep telling people like, come on, we're doing this because you can do it too.
That is so awesome. Tell me about that, Kelly. So you're on day 68. So every day you've been making an arrangement or a flower crown, or tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, I decided a little while back that wearing a flower crown home would be fun. I mean, I just am kind of a silly person, I guess, anyways. So I don't mind just putting that on and, going home and stopping at the store wearing it, kind of like to just see people's reactions. And I thought, you know what? This makes me smile and laugh at myself. And I want to just try to do that, bring a little bit more joy to myself and to everyone else every day. And so far, I've pretty much actually done it every day for 68 days now. And yeah, I use only product grown here at Creekside, whether it's fresh or dried. Except for the few days I have off, I pick from my little backyard garden at home. Um, so it's kind of cool. It's one way that I can show customers, show florists, designers a little bit of the product that we have here and hope that they see something that catches their eye and will ask about it.
I think that is so smart because that is one of the things that I hear from people that we look at on social media that we think, oh, look how successful they are. But when you talk to them about their story, they're doing exactly what you're talking about, Kelly. I mean, they had to do that. This is part of the journey to get known. To You don't ever really have what's called a breakthrough, right? I mean, you don't just all of a sudden one day become famous. It's from
Yep.
doing this kind of stuff every single day. Wouldn't you say, Ellen?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is, when we started, I mean, I remember like distinctly like setting up what I thought was like a photo shoot on my friend's front lawn with like a bed sheet and like 2 dozen tulips. And I thought, well, this is what I got. So let's try to make do with what I have. And like we made little postcards of those designs, little pictures, and handed them out to people. And yeah, everybody's hustling to try to, get the word out there and show people what you can do. So yeah, kudos to you for getting out there and making it happen.
So, Kelly, how do you feel about what I guess I'm just thinking to myself? Ellen's course focuses so much on relationships and community. Do you feel like that is? It sounds to me like that's a lot of what you guys are doing out there, trying to reach and touch people. And do you think that her course had impact? Has had impact to help give you guys the confidence to do some of these things?
I think definitely for the most part. I mean, you're I think always just like a little shy to step out there and do something new, but we were just kind of talking about it this morning, like figuring out, actually starting doing the cut flowers, but then figuring out why you're actually doing it for the reasons, like why in the world are 80% of flowers in the United States not from the United States, um
Yeah.
just all of the research that Ellen did to go and put into that class for her, all her research and knowledge, I think is something that, someone who is just working at their greenhouse or where, in their farm 60, 80 hours a week, they don't have time to do all that research. So one thing that I think is really cool is that she did it for us. And so it's like, even if you have that seed in you, of okay, I know kind of why I want to do it, then to hear the like, yes, this is why I want to do it, and then now know how to share that with someone else. It's like, basically she gives you those, all that research, all that knowledge, that it's kind of like you already knew it, but you didn't know it, and that you can share it with others. And so I think that was like kind of the hugest part, because I don't have time to go home and read and study up on all this stuff at night. So I'm so thankful that she had it all right there for us.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, you know, realizing that we don't have, I mean, when you become a business owner, right, you can't do everything yourself. That's part of taking that step from being a self-employed person that's created a job for themselves
Mm-hmm.
versus starting a business where you're going to involve other people, team members, and beyond. You have to realize that you're not expected, nor can you do it all. So I think that that is really smart. And the thing that I think you just said is I think it's early in the course that Ellen has you figure out what is the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you choosing local? What is the your driving force? And once you figure that out, it kind of doesn't make the rest of it easy. It's just you can figure it out so much better when you actually know why you're going about doing it, right?
Right. And I think in that, like, well, like Sue, I grew up with her kids, and I didn't, but they were all in 4-H and showed animals at the fair, sold them. And so like that whole community type thing, like buying, food at the local county fair. um this was like something that we kind of try to explain to like our customers. My last job right before this was working at a local bakery in Grand Rapids for about 12 years, where I mean I had customers that came in 5 days a week, and I saw them buying their breakfast every morning. Like, the community in that and why they came there was because they got a better product, but also because of the relationships. But so I think like with that, we do care about, we do have care for a lot of the environmental sides of that, and it's great to know that knowledge. But I think a huge part of it is just like the community. You want to go buy your local turkey at the local turkey farm because you want to support them, and just like where it's coming from. It's the best because the people you're getting it from. And so we're just trying to, and that's really popular. People love going to the farmers market. They love going to, local restaurants, and local restaurants use local food. But around here, it's not common that a florist, thinks the same as a restaurant chef, where I want the best local, meat. Florist they're not really thinking I want the best local Lysianthus.
And I
So,
guess I want to add to that is that I think the biggest thing I got from Ellen's class is that, there are a lot of teachers out there. Once you become a cut flower person, they'll teach you, how to, a lot of what Lisa does. And that's awesome and that's needed. And I've taken those classes. But with Ellen's class, I think she taught me more to be an educator, to educate our florists, to educate our customers, to educate them why. And I think there's a difference between teaching it and being an educator. And that's what we try to focus on. And I think we learned so much through Ellen's class of the what and the why, and it's been so helpful that we feel pretty confident in being able to educate others in that.
And what I wanted to follow up with what Kelly just said, that she said that the local florists don't seem to be wanting, local products like the local chefs. Well, let me just tell you, Kelly, you keep after what you're doing and it won't be long. They're going to start realizing that.
thank
That's our
you.
goal. That's our goal.
And it sounds like you're doing all the pieces. And so I just wanted just to say briefly for a second, and then we'll let you, Sue and Kelly, let you guys, if you have any ending words that you want to say to anybody about whether they should or shouldn't take this course. Ellen's course, the name of the course is Florist School Online, Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing. And you can find more information about it at thegardenersworkshop.com. And you can go over there and read about the course and read the syllabus. And you can actually listen to the syllabus. Ellen and I did a great podcast where she and I said the name and she told us what each session was about. And you can learn more about our online courses. Enrollment is November 5th through 9th. And then the class does not start until the beginning of January, and then it runs for 6 weeks. You get a live Q&A coaching session with Ellen every week, which means if there's any question that you have that's not covered in the course material content, you can ask Ellen, as well as we have an optional closed Facebook group where you can connect with your classmates who are amazing supporters, as well as connect with Ellen during school. But there's even more. Even after school, we have an alumni closed Facebook group for her group that you can become a part of, which means 6 months or a year down the line, when your business is developing and you now have new questions, you can still connect and ask those questions and be a part of a group that's got the same focus that you do. So the class is $495. And it only opens for enrollment once a year for 5 days, and they start on Friday. So, the thing I always say to people is what I say to myself, and I now say to people is, okay, if I don't do this, what am I going to do to change my business the next year so that next year at this time, my business has grown or changed or I'm doing something new? That's the way I kind of look at education. I'm like Sue, that we just don't know what we don't know, and you don't know until you leap. And this course is for farmer florist, event designers, florist shop owners, and we even recommend it for flower growers to not only learn about the customers that you're selling to, the marketing and building community, I feel is just so relevant to anybody that is in the cut flower food chain, as I like to call it. If you're touching flowers or moving flowers, there's relevance for you. And so, Sue, I guess, Ellen, I'll ask you first. Is there anything you'd like to offer or say? Or she may be back on the road. Nope, there she is.
Yeah, thanks. No, I would just say, if anybody has questions, feel free to message me. I'm happy to answer questions if you're thinking about joining the class. And yeah, it's a class I'm really proud of, and I do think it has the capacity to, I don't know, set you up for real success in the coming years. So I hope you'll consider taking it.
Thank you, Ellen. All right, Sue and Kelly, give us our offering words for that person that's sitting on the fence, not sure if it's for them.
Well, if you're that person, I have taken many classes over the years, and to be honest, some I've been disappointed in. You spend the money and you leave there going, what did I actually learn? That's not the case with Ellen's class or any of them that Lisa puts on, but it is not the case. There's information, and I took the very first class, and it kind of came out that she was talking to florists. Well, I signed up for the class thinking, well, I kind of want to get in the florist's head. I want to know what she's going to tell them to be looking for, what she's going to be, educating them with. And so I kind of just came in, thought, well, I'll be on the other side and kind of hear what she has to say. But I learned so much. I go back and look at the material all the time when we find, okay, she talks a lot about finding your people. And to me, when you have a discouraging moment that you've met with someone and they are not responsive, like she's taught us they're not your people. And so we found some of our people, we have, and we understand that. And that's, a gauge that we go by. So even just, we've learned so much, and I just would really encourage you, if at all, we need more educators. We need more people on the side of telling people why it's important, instead of, yeah, you love to cut flowers, but we need those educators out there of explaining it to people of why it's so important.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think the class was really, really beneficial. And I think it would be coming from any standpoint, as a florist, as a grower, as a farmer florist, somebody doing both. Uh, it just gives you a lot of good information to understand each other. And I mean, if between florists and farmers, we got to be building relationships in order to do any of this. And so, kind of just like Sue said, it really, Ellen really just describes her whole process, which we can all see is a success. That you can really see the relationships built between her and the growers. And I mean, her story is a story worth mimicking and building on, and looking to as encouragement to build your own business.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Sue, for joining us here. Jesse, how are you there on the back channel? Are you good to go?
Yes, we are good to go.
So, Sue and Kelly, I just appreciate so much y'all taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your experience with Ellen's course and to join us here today. Um, I'm just loving, and I learned something new from every discussion that I have with other people in business. And what I learned from you guys today is that Ellen teaches you to be a teacher. And that is so true. I had never thought about that. And that's exactly right. We need more of them. We need a lot. We need an army of them. And we're getting there. We're starting the tsunami. We're starting the wave. So
Yeah.
thank you all so very, very much. And friends, I'll see you again next Wednesday at 1 o'clock right here on the Flower Farmer Show. And can't wait to see you again.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Jesse.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're so welcome. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Yes. Ciao. Was I kidding, friends? There is just no end to the opportunities and the ways that you can grow a cut flower business. As I now call it, the food chain of cut flowers. There's just so many different ways. And, I asked Amy and Sue to speak out about what their experience was with Ellen's course and how it helped them, because they're in very different they're coming from different directions, right? Amy being a designer who is sourcing locally only, and then Sue and Kelly that are doing several different, they're growing and serving their community in a different way. And it was just very interesting to me to hear what they had to say. And I tell you what I love about what Sue said is that Ellen is an amazing teacher, and she's teaching other people how to teach and educate people about local flowers. And that was one of those pivotal moments for me where I thought, I hadn't even thought of it that way, right? I hadn't even considered that Ellen is training the troops. And as a flower farmer, that is very exciting to me. That is very exciting that there is someone out there gathering people and leading them to spread the word about what we're doing and why it's so wonderful and how it's used to be the way it was done and how we moved away from it for crazy reasons. And I'm so excited about all of this, y'all. I mean, I do feel like I am just carrying the banner of opening people's eyes and just really helping to spread that word. And, Ellen, to teach you to teach the what and why, and we need more teachers is exactly what Sue said, and I have to agree. If you'd like to learn more about Ellen's course, if you happen to be hearing this, normally her enrollment is in early November. It's only open for 5 days a year. This class doesn't start until the 1st of January, and it's 6 weeks long. Every week you get multiple sessions loaded into your online library. It's several hours a week. You watch them at your pace. However, we recommend that you watch them the week that you get them if possible, because then you have a follow-up Q&A live coaching session with Ellen the end of that week before the next class is put into your course library. And if you're not familiar with our courses, what you need to know is you own those sessions forever. You can go back and watch them as many times as you want, which is essential as our businesses grow and develop. You get new situations where you didn't really catch that portion of the sessions because that wasn't where you were when you were listening to it, right? But there's even more, y'all. We do have optional closed Facebook groups that not only go with there's one that's for live school. When you're in school, Ellen's in there in the trenches with you. Your classmates are there where you can support and network with each other. And then Ellen is in there answering questions. And then after school is over, you get moved into the alumni closed Facebook group, if you'd like. And that is all the previous classes. And y'all, that is an amazingly supportive networking group. Not only that, but Ellen's continues to drop in and out of there. I don't know if you caught Amy talking about that. She's a year away from going through the class, and she's in communication with Ellen. That's what sets our courses apart, is the continued support, not only from your classmates, but from your instructor. And we have really built our method to really be there to help people. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get more professional cut flower growers, designers, florists, all sourcing locally, just like it used to be, y'all. So friends, go on over to thegardenersworkshop.com, and I just can't wait to see you in school. And we really appreciate your support. And if you're enjoying my podcast, I'd love for you to share it with your friends, review it, and all of that helps us. So friends, until we meet again, I'm signing off. Ciao.